Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bart Friedman of Giant Eagle Enterprises.
Sorry. So thank you. I'm first want to congratulate Matthew Swift and the entire Concordia team for 15 years. That is an impressive record in almost any environment, especially in such an extraordinarily powerful and important convening as we have here today. I'm here to present an award to a really dear friend named Stephen Heintz. It's an honor to be with you. And to present the Civil Society Leadership Award to Stephen, who has dedicated his life to advancing justice, sustainability, and peace through the power of civil society. Stephen, as president and CEO of the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, has redefined what it means to lead a philanthropic institution in the 21st century, and with vision and courage, he has guided the fund to align its investments with its mission and pioneering a path that many others have since followed. His work has demonstrated that philanthropy can be catalytic, turning modest resources into outsized impact and showing us what it means to practice what we preach. But Stephen's influence goes far beyond the walls of the foundation. He has been a steadfast advocate for democratic values, civic engagement, and economic equity. From his early career in public service to his leadership at Demos and now at the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, he has worked to strengthen the very fabric of democratic culture, ensuring that institutions serve people and not the other way around. In honoring him tonight, Concordia recognizes the essential role of philanthropy in shaping a more just world, and the extraordinary contributions of a leader who has spent his career in service to the public to advance that cause. Stephen wanted to be here, but is stuck on an isolated island, not particularly convenient, and will not be able to be here, but he has sent me detailed notes that he would like me to express on his behalf. And these are Stephen's words. I am deeply honored to receive the Concordia Leadership Award for the civil society sector, and I want you to know how sorry I'm not able to be with you to express my gratitude. I am on a long-planned family vacation on a small and inconvenient New England island, an island which, by the way, has had the ferry service done, and he cannot get here. I'm grateful to my dear friend Bart Friedman for nominating me for this award and for being willing to share these remarks on my behalf. I also want to thank another wonderful friend, Mayu de Abila, who served on the Leadership Award Committee and supported my nomination. Throughout their careers that span the public, private, and civil society sectors, Bart and Mayu have consistently demonstrated principled, energetic, and impactful leadership. How about that for a self-serving statement that I'm reading? It is a particular honor to be receiving this award in the company of the IMF Managing Director and the President and CEO of IBM, truly outstanding leaders. This award is especially meaningful in a moment when civil society is increasingly under acute attack across the globe. This is profoundly worrisome when we understand that civil society is not a luxury, it is essential to a vibrant and healthy democracy. A civil society crisis is a democracy crisis. As we Americans approach our 250th anniversary, it is important to reflect on the many ways that civil society helps citizens realize life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as envisioned by Thomas Jefferson in our Declaration of Independence. Having announced that I will retire from my role as CEO of the Rockefeller Brothers Fund next June, I find myself thinking back over a 50-year career in the public and civil society sectors, and I hope you will permit me a few personal reflections. As a young boy growing up in Missouri, I was inspired by the election of John F. Kennedy and his famous challenge, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. I became active in local politics while in high school and ran for office upon graduating from college. This led to a 15-year engagement in politics and government service. The year 1989 changed everything. As Commissioner of Economic Development for the state of California, I led delegations of Connecticut CEOs to China in April, days before the massive pro-democracy demonstrations in Tiananmen Square, and to Berlin a month before the fall of the Berlin Wall. After the peaceful revolutions that brought down the communist governments in Eastern Europe, I organized a delegation to Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Hungary. We met with Lech Wałęsa and the shipyard in Gdańsk, Havel in the Magic Lantern Theater in Prague, and with groups of courageous citizens who had organized to overthrow totalitarian regimes. I was so inspired by these experiences that I decided to abandon my political career and look for an opportunity to contribute to the historic transitions just beginning in Eastern Europe. I joined an international NGO and moved to Prague in the fall of 1990. During the next decade, I worked on issues of democracy, economics, and European security across Eastern Europe and what would soon become the former Soviet Union. This experience taught me a great deal, some of which I think is relevant to the challenges we all face today. In Eastern Europe, I soon came to understand that democracy is far more than free elections, transparent and accountable institutions, or the rule of law, all of which are essential. But democracy is also a culture, a way of living and behaving in society. It is a civic faith, to use John Dewey's formulation. It turns out to be far easier to create the processes and build the institutions of democracy than it is to nurture and sustain a vibrant culture of democracy. But without this culture, institutions are vulnerable to political manipulation, as we have seen in Hungary and Poland and elsewhere across the globe. So just what is civil society and why is it so important? Let me give you a few minutes on that. The Latin roots of civil society described a social or political order formed by people in association. And of course, it was Alexis de Tocqueville, writing in 1831, who first documented America's distinctive civil society when he wrote that Americans of all ages, all stages of life, and all types of disposition are forever forming associations. Even in the years before the Revolutionary War, citizens of the American colonies were giving their funds as well as their time to what we now refer to as civil society organizations. Perhaps the best known example is Ben Franklin, who founded a remarkable number of 18th century NGOs, including a library society, a hospital, a university, and the colony's first volunteer militia. The good men do separately, Franklin wrote, is small compared to what they may do collectively. Over the course of my 50-year career, I have come to understand that civil society is an essential guardrail to democracy. That is precisely why assaults on civil society, efforts to destroy horizontal bonds within society, are a core strategy of the authoritarian playbook, as followed by dictators and autocrats throughout history and across today's world. In conclusion, that said, we should not romanticize the role of civil society, nor should we overlook its flaws or instances of abuse by civil society organizations. Critics can be found on the right and the left, and we should take them seriously. Corruption, lack of transparency and accountability, and instances of improper political engagement by NGOs have contributed to a significant loss of trust in the sector, and autocrats have seized on those weaknesses to impose constraints or restrict funding. In the US, public opinion polls and focus groups tell us that terms like civil society, civic engagement, and even democracy are not terms that communicate effectively across the divisions in society. If we are to gain public trust, civil society leaders must uphold the highest standards of ethical practice and find simple alternative terms and concrete ways to demonstrate how civil society contributes to the common good and the social order. We need to make the case that our sector is responsive to the needs and anxieties of large numbers of citizens who see civil society leaders, including foundation CEOs like me, as elite, unaccountable, and politically biased. It is essential to defend the sector from attack, but it is equally necessary to prove the value of civil society as the lives, prosperity, and happiness of the people, as Jefferson envisioned. The Concordia Award inspires me to continue doing what I can do to strengthen civil society and its positive impact, even as I retire from a formal leadership role. Thank you so much for this honor. Thank you all.